corruption of the media working for the Crown just busted two journalists, financial advisors in the Canadian Crown, complete loyalists. And that's one Gabriel Friedman from the Financial Post, and of course Mike Moffatt from the Missing Middle, he calls it. These are completely liberal, agenda-sized folks who are sworn to the Crown, write stories, make productions paid by the government, literally. It's the proverbial, literal House Negro, one of these guys. Exactly what Dr. Malcolm X warned about more than 65 years ago today. And it cost him his life. And, for poor Ontarians, you exist on only 5% of this province. That's all there is. That's all they give you. And they stack millions upon millions of people here. Every 3 to 5 years, millions more on the same amount of land. Now these Crown loyal, loving propagandists, Gabriel and Mike Moffatt, Gabriel Friedman again, Financial Post, Mike Moffatt works for the Missing Middle, he's an economist. Both are Crown sworn, paid by the government to feed you loads of lies. They talk about urban sprawl, they talk about big immigration, and oh geez, the housing crisis isn't going to end. We have to build up higher, taller, and then there's a missing middle, they say, where more multi-family single unit dwellings need to be built. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. It didn't stop urban sprawl. They just put all these island tower cities all within a 2.5 hour radius in Ontario, and everything in between those tower cities, that's what they are. Everything in between them is vast stretches of what they call greenbelt. It's Crown land. Do not lose sight of this. Ontario is a massive, huge province, but it hasn't been changed since the days of East and West Canada. This is the same for Quebec. Quebec and Ontario have the least amount of land availability in all of North America. And you know what else? All of the world. You have to go to Hong Kong or Singapore to find the equivalency. Folks, that should terrify you. That should terrify you. China, 1.5 billion people. We're Canada, 41 million people, who in actuality only 34 are actually Canadians. Think about that. Think about that. Now they go into all the way to what? Agenda 2030. It's all over Spotify. It's in Financial Post. Programming millions and millions of Canadians into absolute lies. The reason why you don't see this in Alberta and Saskatchewan, because at least those provinces have a 33 and 38% land availability. Now the United States, you can say whatever you want about it, folks. I can go get a house tomorrow, some major, large complexes with the property for well under 50,000 USD. All over the US, multitude of states. Been looking at that lots lately. And you know what? You could never find that in Canada. How is that even possible? It's because the Crown has literally 91% of the land of Canada kept from you. This is an undeniable truth that even without immigration, over time with positive increases in population just by natural births of Canadians, you're going to continue to drive up the property values because they never release any more land. This Canada is the size of Florida. That's all there is for private property right across Canada. The huge price you pay when you buy a home in Canada is not for anything but the overvaluated land. Upwards of 700% more overvaluated than anything you can find in the United States. They have 342 million people. Does it not cross any economist or journalist's mind to do this research? Well, of course. But the problem is they don't get paid. If you're an economist who works for the Crown, or you're a journalist who reports for the news, you don't get paid if you don't write the story the way the government wants you to write it. We don't have independent media. We are worse than communist China, and it's always been this way. These lies have been told for over 150 years, since day one of Canada. We have been brought up to live lies, promote lies, and continue that cycle over and over, destroying our children's future. It gets worse and worse with every incoming generation. And we're at an end of all and be all. We're at an end all and be all of this country. We've hit the precipice. They're even admitting, there's no way they can drive down housing prices. Of course. Have you looked at immigration? And when you're in a country, everybody, where your government tells you they need to build your homes, you're lost. You are lost. You are in something way worse than ever could be the worst concept of communism. We're already there. There's all kinds of dictatorships. The ones that are right in your face, genocidal, and then the ones where you put the horse blinders on and you walk straight forward, ignorant, like Nazi Germany. And all of a sudden one day you wake up and the country's completely obliterated, a mere shadow of its former self. That's where we are. We're that socialist, fascist extreme. And it can't continue. We can't compete with the world, and we can't even bring up a new generation. We can't. I know. I have children today. I doubt any of them are going to have any kids for themselves. And then the government goes, oh, goody, goody. Now we can really ramp up immigration, bring more of the third world here. They'll accept living multi-family, single unit. They'll accept that. I see it every day in the GTA. I live it. You see people who buy homes, and then you see all the people who rent rooms in those homes. And soon it's going to be multi-family, single units. That's where we're going as a country. And it amazes me that so many don't see it. So many believe they're propaganda news and they're propaganda economists who have all these complex formulas that really are just bullshit. I've looked at all of them. It's like, why do you never talk about the land availability? Why do you never talk about how much a square foot of land costs in the GTA? Or worse, British Columbia, Vancouver. They have even less land availability. The most skyrocketed homes and density in Canada. Besides maybe right dead center Toronto or dead center Montreal. This is insane now. There is no rhyme or reason. None of that land is remotely worth 1/700th of what it is. But when you remove all of the land, all over Canada, away from everybody, and you say, well, we don't want the Indian savages to be able to take care of themselves. We want to control them. We want to extinguish them. In order to do that, we need a slave class called Canadian subjects who will work intensely to enrich our crown. Meanwhile, we fill our pockets with all the foreign investment on our crown lands. And when it doesn't work out, we make you, the subjects and filthy savages, pay for it. These are not my words. This is your government of Canada, in its constitution, in all of its acts of parliament and the provincial legislatures. They're lockstep. And why? because you have not a We the People Constitution, and you certainly lost 90% of all the powers of the people in the provinces and territories because you've never constituted a constitution. Section 92 is huge. People look at that. It actually goes up to 148 depending on what province you are. So think of all the sections of the Constitution that have never ever been enacted or brought forward by the provinces and territories. And you wonder why this country is going down the proverbial toilet. It's never going to end. And it won't end when we have propaganda media and propaganda economists who are paid to lie to you, because that's how we're raised in Canada. Lie, lie, lie. Play the game. When you hear those words, you just gotta play the game. Human lives are not games. And when people talk like that, and they come up with narratives like that, and it's just, everyone accepts it. You're in a tyranny. You're in a full-on autocracy, and you are killing your children's future and your grandchildren's future. People ask me, what do I do? What do I do? Well, you could start with hammering on your local politicians on all their feeds. Provincial constitutions, provincial constitutions. Let's release Crown lands. Let's free the First Peoples. Let's end the Indian Act. Things like that. I've promoted that many, many times. I do it all the time, but now I educate all of you. I do that. Canada, 51st state, would be the best solution because America's already done all of those things and they're evolving all the time. Doesn't matter left or right. Sometimes there are some issues, obviously, with the Democrats, but ultimately the Constitution always prevails. The people are reset constantly and America gets better, bigger, and stronger. Well, Canada goes down the toilet. And why? Because there's no place in the world today since World War II for socialist and fascist regimes. There's countries like this all over, but Canada is a big bad one. It's a big bad wolf. And Canadians need to wake up to it because your children are finished. My children, your children are finished. And for those a little older, your grandchildren are finished. They're finished. There's no hope and future for them. These people think, well, you can become a doctor or a lawyer. There's only so many doctors and lawyers per capita. And that's never going to change. It still doesn't change the way our system's epically failing for almost everybody. Except for a handful of wealthy elite. The first class, the crown. They never fail. They get stronger while you get weaker. The folks of today, the children of today, have no plans to have any children. What does that tell you? Your country is dying. Not figuratively, literally. Literally. None of my children have any plans to have kids. None whatsoever. What does that tell you? Canada's dying. It's going to die. I would say by 2030, it's too late for Canada. Way too late. That's my video. Share, share, share. Nail these suckers. Nail the Financial Post. Nail this Mike Moffatt with this group Missing Middle. Nail them. Why do you not tell this truth? Why do we need to be the size of Florida when we're this giant country called Canada, which is also the UK, because our Constitution says we will model this country after the UK entirely, and for UK's benefit. So we must remain in the density, meaning we can never have any more property than what is the island of UK. We're not an island. We're a major country and a massive continent. More than half of that continent is ours. Really? And people say, why sovereignty? Sovereignty of what? Your little Florida or your little UK? Because that's all the Crown's ever given you. And they've destroyed the First Peoples. And then people say, oh, we won this country. What did you win? A Florida in Canada? Is that what you won? And we're going to keep stacking millions and millions of people? Now remember, folks, Florida's population is 29 million people. I can go buy property in Florida at a much, much lower rate than anything in Canada. I'd have to go to a shithole in northern Saskatchewan, high crime, 8 hours from a major city, isolated in almost Arctic extremes, to find an equivalent property value of the state of Florida. It's warm and sunny all year long. I can grow fruit and vegetables all year long. Scary indeed. It's a mindset, a programming, and this is what we deal with. That's my video, everybody. Enjoy your day. God bless. Bye now. Share. Get it out there. Credible, real, and verifiable knowledge everyone needs to have. Bye now.